So today we're going to talk about puberty and the menstrual cycle. So learning intentions, the knowledge you should know by the end of the video is what causes puberty and how puberty is similar and different in men and women. Okay, so let's start by looking at puberty and in particular adolescence. So adolescence involves both physical and emotional changes. During adolescence, your body goes through physical changes, and this is called puberty. So puberty really is just the physical changes that we're looking at during that process of adolescence, how the body is going to start to develop. So puberty is started by sex hormones. Sex hormones are released by the brain, testes and ovaries, and the sex hormones can also cause things like spots or acne, which you can see on the right hand side in the picture. Sex hormones can also cause emotional changes, such as boys and girls becoming more interested in each other. So let's have a little look more closely at what happens during puberty. So puberty usually starts between the ages of 10 to 15 years, with girls often starting before boys. And if we look carefully at the changes in the body, what we'll start to see is in females, they'll start to develop a stronger body smell. Underarm hair will start to grow. Breasts will develop. Ovaries will release eggs. Hips will widen and pubic hair will start to grow. For boys, well, what we'll start to see here is that their voice will start to break and deepen. They'll also have a stronger body smell, same as the girls. Hair grows underarms as well, but also you'll find it on the face and chest. Shoulders will start to get wider. Pubic hair will also start to grow, and the testes and the penis will get bigger, with the testes starting to make sperm. Okay, so if we just kind of think back to the last two slides, what are some of the key questions that we should be able to answer? Well, one is what chemicals control puberty? Where are these chemicals released? How is adolescence different to puberty? We could suggest three ways in which the changes during puberty are the same for boys and girls, and we could also suggest two ways in which the changes during puberty are different for boys and girls. So I'd like you to pause the video here, and I'd like you to have a go at answering those 5 questions, and if you need to go back and review any of the previous slides, please do so. Okay, let's review these key questions. So what chemicals control puberty? Well, they are the sex hormones. Where are these chemicals released? Well, they're released in the brain. If you are female, they'll be released in the ovaries, and if you are male, they'll be released in the testes. How is adolescence different to puberty? Well, adolescence involves both the emotional and the physical changes that we see as we start to grow up. Puberty just focuses on the physical changes that we notice. So then we can suggest 3 ways in which the changes during puberty are the same for boys and for girls. Well, pubic hair will grow for both boys and girls. Both of them will get a stronger body smell, and both of them will start to notice that hair will grow under their arms. 2 ways in which it can be different for boys and girls. Well, boys, their voice will start to break or deepen. Hair won't start to grow on their face and chest. Shoulders start to widen, and the penis and testes start to grow, with testes starting to produce some sperm. For girls, well, their breasts will start to develop, ovaries will release eggs, and their hips will widen. Okay, so let's move now on to the menstrual cycle. So again, key things for these next couple of slides, the intentions here are to know the key events and dates in the menstrual cycle. I've put a lot of them in bold just to kind of draw your attention to it, and to understand the key words involved in the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle is part of the female reproductive system, and it works in a sequence called the menstrual cycle. The cycle normally takes around 28 days, and it's controlled by sex hormones. So here we can see a diagram that shows us a full cycle starting from day 1 at the top, going all the way around again to around about day 28. So we're just going to take a little section at a time. So menstruation, also known as having a period, is when the soft lining of the uterus starts to break apart. It passes out of the vagina along with a little blood and an unfertilized egg cell. A period is normally going to last for around about 3 to 7 days, depending on the person. So you can see that at the top, just around about there. Immediately after menstruation, an egg cell starts to mature in one of the ovaries. While this happens, the lining of the uterus starts to build up again and to develop a network of blood vessels. So that's happening somewhere around this stage here. So this is a really important part, something that we really need to remember. So around about day 14, after the cycle has started, the egg cell will now be mature enough to be released, and this release of the egg cell is called ovulation. So when the egg cell gets released from the ovary, we call that ovulation. So the egg cell, now it's been released, is going to be swept along the oviduct, sometimes known as the fallopian tube, towards the uterus. If it does meet a sperm cell, then it can be fertilized. The lining of the uterus helps to support, feed, and protect an embryo. So it's replaced every cycle with fresh material to make sure it's in good condition, and it continues to thicken for about a week. Now, if the egg cell that's been released is fertilized, the uterus lining will stay where it is. It's not going to be broken down or released, and it will start to thicken and develop to help protect and supply lots of nutrients and oxygen to the placenta. However, if the egg cell hasn't been fertilized by a sperm cell, well, then after about 14 days, what will start to happen is the uterus lining will start to break down again, and the cycle will start again with another period. So starting from day 1 at the top, all the way around to day 28, that is one full menstrual cycle. But there are some key days in there and times that we need to be aware of. So knowing that menstruation or having a period is going to take place for about 3 to 7 days. On day 14, approximately, not always, but normally day 14, what we're going to start to see is a mature egg being released, and we call that ovulation. Really important date and word there. And then we can see again that we have obviously a full cycle taking 28 days. Okay, so I want you to pause the video here in a second, and what I would like you to do is I would like you to complete the sentences below. So I would like to write them all out, and where there is a gap, I would like you to use one of the keywords in the yellow box to help you complete it. So you've got a nice little paragraph of text there that just describes the whole process for you. Now, some of the words I provided you with are red herrings. You do not need to use them all. So it's just going to test your knowledge a little bit about which ones you think are the most important words to use there. Okay, so if you'd like to pause the video now and then write that down and use the keywords in the yellow box to complete the sentences. Okay, let's just quickly review to make sure that we are on the right lines. So the female reproductive system works in a cycle called the menstrual cycle. An egg cell is released each month. The egg cell normally released is around about day 14. This is called ovulation. If the egg cell is not fertilized, then the lining of the uterus will break down and it will leave the body through the vagina. This is called a period. Okay, so just to summarize this little video for you to take away the key pieces of knowledge. So for puberty, puberty is controlled by sex hormones. We know puberty causes physical changes in both boys and girls. Remember, adolescence is physical and emotional. For boys, some of the things we'll start to notice is their shoulders will widen, their voice deepens, hair grows under their arms, possibly their face and chest, and pubic hair will start to grow as well. And we'll notice the penis and the testes grow, and the testes produce sperm. For girls, we'll notice that hips will widen, hair will grow under their arms as well, pubic hair will also start to develop, and their ovaries will release eggs and their breasts will start to develop. For the menstrual cycle, well, again, key things here is it's controlled by sex hormones. Menstruation is also known as having a period. Menstruation lasts for about 3 to 7 days. A new egg is released around about day 14. We call that ovulation. If the egg cell is fertilized, the uterus lining stays and develops. And if it is not fertilized, then the uterus lining will start to break down and it will be released from the body. And a full cycle lasts approximately 28 days.